Today on How I Got Here, I'm sitting down with Dr. Mosley. She's a counseling psychologist, a former athlete, and the founder of the Playbook, a mental health performance platform helping athletes track their well-being in real time. From rugby at LSU, to winning medals in boxing, to supporting athletes across the NBA, NFL, WNBA, and more, her work has always been rooted in care, purpose, and possibility. In this conversation, we talk about identity, resilience, and belonging, and what it means to create a future where mental wellness is a shared responsibility. This is Dr. Mosley, and this is how she got here.
You know, I'm in industries that are predominantly male, especially when you think about tech, when you think about digital health, sport. I'm in the middle of like the intersecting of all of these different verticals. And it's hard. Key components come together that either boost or diminish performance. Whether you are an athlete, whether you are a publicist, a parent, it doesn't really matter. Either you have the conditions that are gonna be conducive to you performing your best, or you have a lot of things that are gonna diminish that. If you're waiting to feel ready, you may not ever feel ready. And ready is not something you can identify as like, well, what does it look like? How will you know? You may not get there, but—
I love that. Ready is not a feeling, it's a decision.
Indeed.
I'm gonna share that with my 10-year-old son. Mosley, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. We've been trying to do this for a year. So thank you. We made it happen.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm excited for this conversation. So take me back to little Mosley for a minute.
Okay.
You grew up in a home where psychology and sports lived in the same space.
Absolutely.
So what do you remember about that feeling growing up in that house?
Yeah, you know, I think I have to credit my family when I think about this. So my mom and her twin sister were two of some of the only Black psychologists in the state of Alabama when I was growing up.
Oh, wow.
And then on my dad's side, my dad is a Vietnam vet, but my uncle on my dad's side caught the last out in the '69 World Series
for
the Miracle Mets. My uncle's Cleon Jones.
Okay.
And that kind of connection really influenced me for a few reasons. One, I grew up in a household where feeling confident and capable were experiences that I had because my mom knew that in terms of having a positive sense of self, you had to build that sense of confidence early. And so there were opportunities for me to grow and develop and be curious and try things and fail things, and doing that as a kind of way of understanding how the world worked on my own terms, and that perception being really important. And then on the other side of it, thinking about sport, recognizing both, I think sport and music are some of these great kind of equalizers, these spaces where people come together, regardless of difference, to cheer for something that feels bigger than them.
Yeah.
And so having that understanding, it was around, okay, well, how do we think about belonging? How do we think about connection? What does that look like in terms of the first groups that we learn, which are family, so the family system, and then how do we inherit and have those values, and how do we take them and have them show up in other ways? How do you do your best? And so it's not just about what's on the scoreboard. It's like, did you do your best? How do you feel about your performance? How do you identify these metrics that matter to you so that success and winning is on your own terms?
I love that. And when you look at your life now, what parts of that early world make the most sense in who you became?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think, you know, I'm in industries that are predominantly male, especially when you think about tech, when you think about digital health, sport. I'm in the middle of like the intersecting of all of these different verticals. And it's hard. It's really challenging. And if you aren't careful, you will use metrics that are not in your best interest to measure your success. And that's often where people—
What do you mean by that?
Well, thank you. So what I mean is, if we are letting people define what success looks like for you, it can always be moved. You'll always be chasing it. Like the goalpost can continuously be moved for you, and you'll try playing like a game of whack-a-mole, trying to figure out, how do I fit into this? Versus you saying, you know what? Small wins are important to me. If I'm able to show improvement 1%, 2% at a time, this incremental progress over time based on what's important to me, you can track and measure those metrics in ways that are really meaningful and really can push your success outside of being distracted by what people think you should be doing.
So you were an athlete long before you were a psychologist, rugby, boxing, training, winning. What did those years show you about your own strength and the way you show up when the pressure is real?
Oh, man. So, I had a really, really great coach when I was boxing. And he trained Layla Ali, which is awesome.
Okay.
And Coach Barry, he also is like a surrogate dad for me, too. And he said when I was training, like when I was getting ready, I think it was for the Golden Gloves. And he said there are 3 things you need to remember anytime you're training as a boxer. And regardless of what weight class I was in, even though I am the tallest woman in my family, I am short.
You're the tallest one in your family?
Yes, I'm the tallest woman in my family. And so that also thinking about positive regard, right? Like I grew up not feeling that things weren't attainable. I'm 5'2". I didn't feel 5'2".
Okay.
But regardless of when I was fighting, it didn't matter what weight class I was in, I was always the shortest fighter. So he was like, you can't fight tall. You always have to lean into what your strengths are, even if you think they're your weaknesses or your insecurities. You're short. You can fight like Mike Tyson. You know, hooks, uppercuts, you do things really, you fight like you're in a phone booth. Like that's your strength. You make people come down to you. You don't try to box up to them because it exposes you. And so the 3 things that he said, and I was like, what are the 3 things? Don't get hit in the face a lot? He was like, no. The 3 things are, you will be successful in your training outside of just the physical aspects of the sport, but you have to have timing, you have to have balance, and you have to have desire and passion. And I've taken those things with me a lot because, as we know, in business or otherwise, things are often based on the timing. Sometimes the timing isn't right for you. So when timing is right, you have to maximize that opportunity, be prepared for that. The balance piece is really important because there are always going to be things that are gonna pull your attention in different ways. So how do I make sense of sometimes some balls, we talk about juggling a lot of balls, right? And some of those balls are glass, some of them will bounce, some of them will shatter. You need to know what the difference is. So how do I prioritize what's important, whether this is in sport or in a fight or otherwise? And then the passion, the hunger, the desire, like you have to want it and you have to show up that way. And so that's translated to me in terms of growing businesses, working with folks, working in sport. Things may change, and there are a lot of things outside of your control. But if you can hone in on some of these areas, it's really helpful.
How did that thinking show up when you started building your consulting business?
Well, starting the consulting practice, so I had a private practice inside of my consulting firm.
Okay.
And so that is very unusual but on my end, it made a lot of sense because when I think about performance and I think about sport, key components, it's agnostic. Key components come together that either boost or diminish performance. Whether you are an athlete, whether you are a publicist, a parent, it doesn't really matter. Either you have the conditions that are going to be conducive to you performing your best, or you have a lot of things that are going to diminish that. And so that is true in sport or otherwise. So I started a private practice, put my little shingle out there after I left a career of higher ed. That's actually where I started my career.
Okay.
I started as an associate dean and professor. I started my career at Dartmouth College and worked my way up. Last full-time role was associate vice chancellor and dean of students at UC Santa Cruz. Was not my favorite thing, but what I loved was I had a small private practice on the side. And since I'm typically most places the only person kind of dual trained in sports performance and clinical mental health, that was my niche, high performers. So people who work in high intensity, high performing environments, how do we get them to maximize their performance? But also most importantly, how do we help people identify warning signs of distress in very accomplished people? I always say athletes, entertainers are extraordinary. They can do extraordinary things, but they're ordinary people. And people get hung up on those extraordinary things. And so on our end, it's how do we help people recognize that there are things that they can do to take care of themselves, even when they may not feel like they need that. And so that Yeah, so that was a large part of like putting the private practice and the consulting, because I wanted to be able to see different types of people and different types of roles. And that allowed me to be able to then build from and determine, how do I help this group, this environment, this demographic, and how do I build things specifically to address their pain points and their problems. The last thing I'll say about that is, for me, when I think about, when you said like when you started building your consulting practice, because I did not think I was going to be an entrepreneur. That was not the plan.
What was the
I
plan?
thought for my life. My plan was, I've known since I wanted to be 6 that I wanted to be a psychologist. So I knew I wanted to do that.
From 6?
And yeah, because
of the house you grew up in.
So listen, yeah, and so my mom got her PhD, finished her PhD around the time when I was in like 6, and we went to her graduation. And so all the pomp and circumstance, I was like, I don't know what these people are doing, but I want to do it because the fancy robes and all those things. So I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be a psychologist.
At 6.
At 6. And I didn't know what that was going to look like or where, but I saw people who looked like me who did it. And so that was really powerful for me. And so when I thought about, consulting and starting a business, one of the things from sport that's really important, it doesn't matter whether you're ready to go or not. When that bell hits, you got to go. Yeah. And so the kind of reframe I always say to folks that I work with is that ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. And so it's like, if you're ready or you stay ready and you've decided I'm gonna be ready, you don't have to feel ready. We divest those things. You don't have to feel like you're ready to go. But if you've made the decision that you're gonna move forward, we're moving forward. And you will fall in however that looks like. But if you're waiting to feel ready, you may not ever feel ready. And ready is not something you can identify as like, well, what does it look like? How will you know? You may not get there, but
I love that. Ready is not a feeling, it's a decision.
Indeed.
I'm gonna share that with my 10-year-old son. So talk to me about the Playbook, because the Playbook, it brings things like stress, mood, and resilience into light, right? Especially when you're thinking about athletes, and these are things they don't really talk about.
Absolutely.
So why was it important for you to give athletes a way to see and name what is happening beneath the surface?
Man, that's such a great question. This is a little dark, but I'm going to bring it up. But we know that more than 50% of elite athletes report battling depression and anxiety so severe they find it difficult to function, let alone perform. And as recently as this week, we had a death by suicide, Marshawn Nealon with the Dallas Cowboys. And unfortunately, the rates and the deaths by suicide have worsened. So we know that between the ages of 10 and 24, these rates have more than doubled in the last 20 years.
As young as 10?
Correct.
Oh my God.
Correct. We've even had kids as young as 9 having suicidal ideation. And that will continue to worsen if we don't meet the moment of this mental health crisis and emergency that we're in. And so suicide is the second leading cause of death before young people 10 to 24. And so on my end, it was like, okay, this is an obvious crisis. People often really hyper-index on the physical performance of athletes and really neglect everything else. Yeah. And we already know that sport is a mental game. We say it's 90% mental, 10% physical, but that's not how we track or train people. And so on my end, I was like, how do we develop something using technology so that we can do this safely, do it at scale, also do it so that it's an extension of what we're seeing in sports technology, like with Fitbits or Oura Rings or Whoops. How do we give people quantifiable metrics around mental health? And so that's what we built. Our platform, our app, quantifies mental health status using gamified psych assessments and emojis. So we can give people an overall score and also individual metrics. And we literally track you like a wearable device based on how you answer these instruments and questionnaires that are pretty brief. And they are designed and validated for ages 13 and up. So we're able to go down from Pee-wee to pro.
I love that, from Pee-wee to pro. So talk to me about how you were able to forge some of these partnerships. I mean, you've got partnerships with the NBA, NFL, WNBA, who else did I say? MLB. Like, come on.
Oh, gosh.
You're way too humble. Stop it. Stop it.
Well, so how these things came about, I got my first big break in sport because I had my private practice, as I mentioned, in the consulting firm.
Yep.
And when I was out at UC Santa Cruz, one of my mentors and also former professors at LSU was now an executive at the NCAA. And so she had been following what I had been doing, just kind of putting a shingle out there, working on the side with like coaches and athletes and first responders, and she was like, listen, there's this project. We're trying to get more women in the pipeline to be head coaches and athletic directors that were former athletes, but they're either burning out or they don't have the leadership experience. So we are looking to build this program to give them a pathway to have this experience, but we need something to really address how we are getting them connected so that they can take care of themselves. And she was like, do you think you can help? Can you like helicopter in here and like join this team that you've never met and build this program? And I was like, absolutely. And so I did it, and it went really, really well. And that was my break into sports. So after I did that for NCAA headquarters, opportunities with the NBA and the Brooklyn Nets and these other, the Brooklyn Nets, oh my gosh, NBA headquarters around their ecosystem, which happened a lot during COVID. So during COVID, our business did the opposite of what several other businesses did, which was fortunate for us and very challenging for colleagues who were having a difficult time with their businesses. But our demand went up tremendously. We are one of the few folks in the space. And so we grew to a team of like 36 licensed mental health and medical providers working across Olympic, college, and pro sports. Could not keep up with demand. Like the year of COVID, I flew like 120,000 miles. Like
the year of COVID.
That is correct. So on a plane, it was usually like me, a flight attendant, and the pilot. Like it was very apocalyptic. It was very strange. But ended up being all over the place, internationally and otherwise. Worked across the NBA's kind of global ecosystem, worked with the Basketball African League, their offices in South America and the UK, kind of all over, the G League. It was an incredible experience, but what we realized very quickly is like, this is not a sustainable model. Like, I can't, this is not healthy for me, and it also isn't a way for us to deliver this level of care that is safe and consistent and give people kind of what they need at a larger scale. So we had to build technology. And been very fortunate. I have an incredible team, and this would not be possible without them. And I think that also is back to the aspect of thinking about sport. I mean, I always say like winning is a team sport. Building a healthy team culture, building a winning team culture is everybody's everyday work. And so you let people recognize that they have.
Just say that again. We gonna pull it because it was so good. I was like, look, I need to say that to my team every day.
Building a winning team or building a winning team culture is everybody's everyday work.
You remember that.
And so it's like helping people identify the areas that they are passionate about, that they're interested in, that they're good at, and also connect it to the work that needs to be done. And that's how I hire, that's how I think about building a team and being very clear about what are we building, why are we building it, and then what role do you get to play in that.
Okay, so you've given me so much. And so when people talk about Dr. Mosley years from now, what do you hope they say about you? Not your titles, not your projects, you.
I think I want people to know that I cared. And what's most important to me is people are really struggling. It doesn't matter whether you feel excellent and you're great at what you do or if you feel like you're not enough. People are so lonely. And so if people can say, she gave me a safe place to land, she gave me tools and resources that helped me take care of myself so I could show up and take care of the things and the people that I care about the most, that's what's most important to me.
I love that. So we're gonna do 3 quick fire questions.
Ooh, all right, let's do it.
Give me the first response that comes to mind.
Okay.
Rugby or boxing?
Boxing.
One wellness ritual you stay committed to no matter how busy life gets?
No matter how busy life gets, I have a few of them. What's a good one?
Just one. Quick fire.
Quick fire, no social media before bedtime or before breakfast.
Okay. And what's the song that gets you into your Let's Build energy mode?
Let's build energy mode?
Or like, what's your hype song?
I have so many. Beyonce, The one on the car. Oh my God. I've walked out to the song multiple times.
The one on the car?
I'm sorry. I see it. I want it.
What song is that? Formation.
Yes, Formation.
Wait,
That's it. Well, I don't know all the lyrics to the song, but that's real black. You know all the lyrics to the song. Gonna name the song yourself, but like that's
car.
it.
It's the one on the car.
It's the one, you know, because it's like she's in the floodwaters, the beautiful. Anyway, yes.
Okay.
So it would be Formation, Beyonce.
Dr. Mosley, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you and your time and the work that you're doing.
Thank you. This is amazing.